For this lesson, we will be discussing about part 2 of our lesson probability, which is about sample space and probability examples. So let us first define what is probability. Probability is the chance that an event will happen. And in our solution of probability, we will be having the sample space. Okay, so when we say sample space, these are the set of all possible outcomes in an experiment. We have defined experiment in the previous video, and in light of the discussion with sample space, there are also discussions about events. So we have discussed that in the first lecture. What are multiple events? What are independent events? Mutually exclusive, non-mutually exclusive, etc. Let's have the example number 1. Consider the activity of rolling a die. When we say a die, it's just one piece of the pair of dice. Okay? Now, we are asked to determine the number of sample points. So, number ang kailangan natin. But before we can do that, we have to list down what are the elements of our sample space. So when we roll a die, it is possible, when we say sample space, those are all the possible outcomes. When we roll a die, we could have a 1, a 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 dots whenever we roll it. Okay? So therefore, the number of sample points in our sample space is actually 6. Now, the event of getting an odd number, when we say event, we denote this as event A, okay? We use letters to denote events. We base our answers from the sample space itself. So the event should be based on the sample space. So the elements of our event A are actually when we have an odd number based on the sample space. These are 1, 3, and 5. Okay? So therefore, our number of sample points on event A is 3. For the next one, we have B as the event of getting a perfect square. Again, we list down based on the sample space. Perfect squares are considered 1 and 4. So the number of sample points in event B is 2. For this example number 2, we now have a pair of dice. So we roll the dice together and then we determine the sample points of the following. So when we have a sample space, for our sample space, we will have a combination of numbers when we roll the die. The dice could have numbers, no? Pwede siyang 1, 1, pwede siyang 1, 2, pwede siyang 1, 3, 1, 4, and 1, 5. And then for the next column, pwedeng 2 yung isang die, and then 1 yung isa. This could also mean 2, 2, 2, 3, 2, 4, 2, 5, kasali pala yung 1, 6, okay? And then 2, 6. And so on and so forth hanggang dun sa dulo. So I will be filling up this part, this right part, on the next slide. Kukumpletuhin natin siya. As we can see, I have put the completed sample space in this part. So we have our sample space up to 6 is to 6. So if you are asked how many sample points, the number of sample points are in this bracket, okay? So the n of s that we have will be 36. Okay, so for event of getting a sum of b, we denote this as our event A, the event of getting a sum of 5. So from the sample space again, we base our answers. Ang n of our A consists of the following. Okay, our A consists of the following. What are the numbers that have a sum of 5? So from the sample space, we can see this one, sum of 5, and then this one, and this one. Okay, so we can write down here the number of, or the sample points that we have: 1, 4, 2, 3, 3, 2, and 4, 1. So that makes our number of sample points for event A as 4. For event of getting a sum of at most 4, let's denote that as event B. So when we write down the sample points for event B based on our complete sample space, sum of at most 4, when we say at most 4, we have a maximum sum of 4. So what are those? At most, we have 3, 1, 2, 2, 1, 3. These are also included because those are less than 4. Okay? So when we write down our sample points, we have 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 2, 2, and 3, 1. So ang laman ng ating number of sample points for event B is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 6. Okay, so these numbers are what we are going to use to solve our probability. Sometimes the listing method is not the best method to use for probability. If we look at this example na nasa inyong slide, okay, a box contains 6 red and 4 green balls. If 3 balls are drawn from the box, then determine the number of sample points of the following. If you go back to our discussion of part 1, the counting techniques that we discussed there are actually the techniques that we are going to use to solve probability. Okay? So a box contains 6 red and 4 green balls. So if you remember my method of drawing, all in all, we have 10 balls. Okay? So from the 10 balls, we are going to draw 3 balls. Now, these balls are actually consisted of 6 red and 4 green balls. Okay? So this will help you compute for the number of sample points. So number of sample points ang ating tinitingnan. Okay? So this one, so the sample space, when we have the computation for sample space, we consider this total. So it's actually 10 combination of 3. That's it. So without the listing method, we just use combination or permutation. Just remember, for things like drawing in a box, drawing in a tambiolo, or a hat, those are combination problems. Okay? So walang sinabi dito ng position. So hindi siya permutation. No? So for event of getting all red balls, denoted as A, event A, since we have 3 balls and all are red balls, it means that we are going to consider this part tatlo ang red balls sa kailangan natin, wala tayong kailangan na wala tayong kailangan na green balls, I mean. So, for our N of A, we use the combination computation technique that I have showed you in the previous lecture, which is 6 combination of 3 times 4 combination of 0. Okay, so process this in your calculator and then you will get the final answer. And the last one, for event B of getting 1 red and 2 green balls, it's the same technique. 1 red, here we will be using 2 green balls. So for event B, okay, we will have 6 combination 1 and 4 combination of 2. Palaging dito yung mas malaking number, no? Kasi pagdating sa inyong calculator, magkakaroon ng error sa computation, math error. Okay, so let's have now the proper problems for probability. So our classical probabilities, the first one, which states that the probability of event A is equal to the number of outcomes of event A divided by the number of outcomes in the sample space. So if you look on the formula, these are actually what we have solved in the previous problems. Let's have example number 1. If 2 coins are tossed, what is the probability of getting both heads? So, kagaya ng ginawa natin kanina, we are going to list down our sample space. So, pwedeng head yung dalawang coins, di ba? Pwedeng isang head, pwedeng isang tail, head, and parehong tails. Yan yung ating number of sample space. So, 4. Now, ang event A natin is yung ating event of getting both heads. So, very important for you to write down this on your solution para hindi kayo malilito. Kasi dito, isa lang ang question. Pero dun sa mga ibang problems, pwedeng dalawa, pwedeng tatlo. So, dapat i-identify ninyo ano yung A, ano yung B, ano yung C. Now, moving on. Ngayon, sa event A natin, no? Both heads yung pinag-usapan. So, from the sample space, ito ang laman ng ating sample point. Therefore, ang ating N ay N of A ay equal to 1. Okay? Ngayon, ang probability, classical probability, ang sabi natin, any event A divided by the total number of sample points in the sample space will give you the probability. No? So, for the probability netong ating example, all you have to do is substitute yung 1 and yung 4. So, eto na yung ating answer. Basta dapat lagi itong in lowest term. Okay? So, yung ibang mga libro, meron kayong makikita dito, naka decimal point. So, pwede rin naman yon, no? Yung ibang mga problems in decimal point sila. Or, if you have it in percentage, we tell it as, we have a 25% probability that when we toss 2 coins, we get both heads. Let's have the example. If you remember this problem, this is the example on the previous discussion dito. As example 3 siya dun sa sample space natin. Okay? So, ito naman, probability na yung pinapakuha sa atin. Okay? So, ulitin lang natin yung techniques natin when we have a box that contains 6 red and 4 green balls. If 3 balls are drawn from the box, then determine the number of sample points of the following. Ulitin natin para masanay tayo, ano? So, 10 balls, ito, and 3 yung kailangan natin. But this box consists of 6 red and 4 green balls. Okay? Now, if we know this, ibig sabihin, ang N of S natin is actually yung kinumpit natin kanina. Ayan. And then, for the event A natin, this is B, probability of getting all red balls, meaning, 3 dito, 0 doon. Okay? So, yung N of A natin kanina, going back, is 6 combination of 3 and 4 combination of 0. Now, if we follow, okay, if we follow our formula for P of A, it is simply N of A over N of S. Substituting the given computations natin, magiging magiging 6 combination 3 times 4 combination 0 dito divided by 10 combination 3. Now, please go to your calculator and find yung ating lowest form ng fraction. Okay? Moving on for B, we have 1 red and 2 green balls. So, isa dito, isa doon, dalawa doon. Basta laging 3 ang dyan, ang ating total. Okay? So, ang N of B is simply 6 combination 1, 4 combination 2. Now, for P of B, that would be the event B divided by N of S pa din. So, magiging 6 combination 1 times 4 combination 2 divided by 10 combination of 3. So, please, paki-compute yung fraction dito. Let's have example number 3. In a card game, if a hand is holding 5 cards, find the probability that there will be A, 3 aces, B, 4 hearts and 1 diamond, and C, getting 5 aces. Okay? So, remember, a deck of cards has 52 cards. Okay? So, for the characteristics of the deck, remember that we have 4 suits, okay, which is hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Okay. Now, for each suit, we have 13 cards per suit. Okay, and then we have 3 face cards per suit, which are king, the queen, and the jack. Okay, and then the numbers 10 to ace, which is considered 1. Okay, now for our letter A, this is letter A, we are holding 5 cards in a hand. Ibig sabihin, 5 card na hawak ng isang person. Okay? So, meaning, if we are holding 3 aces, this means that we have 2 other cards that we are holding. So, we do not know kung ano ang face or ano ang suit ng dalawang cards na yon. Kasi 5 yung kailangan natin. So, kumbaga, implied or naka-hidden yung ano na yon, yung given na yon. Okay? So, remember in our card, sa buong deck, meron tayong 4 aces. Okay? So that, when you write this down, our N of A here will be, okay, N of A will be 4 combination of 3. This is the 3 aces from the 4 aces na available dun sa deck. And since 52 tayo, 4 yung aces na inihiwalay natin. Ibig sabihin, meron pa tayong ibang 48 cards na pinagpipilian para dun sa dalawa. So, if this will be your N of A, meaning this is your event A getting 3 aces and 2 other cards, we may say that our probability of A will be, okay, 4 combination of 3 itself and yung 48 combination of 2 all over, no? Remember, ang P of A natin is N of A over N of S. So, ang N of S natin for a deck of card is 52 combination of 5. Dahil 5 cards ang hinahanap natin sa isang deck. Okay, so this will be your answer for letter A. While yung event B natin, ang hawak nating baraha ay 4 hearts and 1 diamond. Okay, so sa 4 hearts, there are 13 hearts in the deck. 13 cards na heart in the deck. And also 13 diamond suit sa deck natin. So meaning, if this is our P of B, we may write 13 combination of 4 times 13 combination of 1. All over 52 ulit combination of 5. Okay? Now, for event C, let's have event C. If a hand is holding 5 cards and lahat ng card na yon ay 5 aces lahat ang kanyang hawak, okay? Ang probability of event C natin will be, of course, N of C over N of S. But in this case, we know N of S is 52 combination of 5, no? We know that very well. But in our event C, no? Since kung titignan natin, 4 na aces lang ang meron tayo sa isang deck, which means there will be no outcome wherein we will have 5 aces. So the answer here would be 0. So meaning, the probability of event C is 0, or what we call an impossible event. It will not happen because there are no 5 aces in a deck of cards. So this is possible. Okay? So ang ating mga probability answers, remember that the answers are in fractions. Okay? A sure event has a probability of 1, or we have a 100% probability, and an impossible event is equal to 0. Okay? So, sometimes, yung probability natin na 1/4, which is a fraction, can also be expressed as a percentage or in decimal. Pwede yan. Sa ibang mga libro, decimals ang gamit. Sa ibang statistics, halimbawa, nire-report natin sa TV, sabihin natin 25% of chances that the storm will hit the Philippines. So, ang presentation is in percentage. But in our computations, mostly, since we are doing this, N of A and N of S, for event A, this will do, the fraction will do. Let's move now to the second type of probability. Actually, it's a second rule of probability. Okay? For starting B, we are going to discuss about 2 or more events. Remember, the addition rule is for 2 or more events. Okay? Yung ating classical probability is involving only one event. Okay? Mapansin nyo, P of A, or P of B, or P of C. In this case, the formula you will see here, which are written here below, consists of event A and B na naka-fuse. Okay? So, we have already discussed what are non-mutually exclusive events. These are events that can occur at the same time. Okay? So, example, you can sit in your chair while typing. Those are non-mutually exclusive events. Meanwhile, for mutually exclusive events, these are events that cannot occur at the same time. Example, you cannot be at home and at the same time you're at the mall. That cannot happen. Okay? And the third one are what we call complementary events. Okay? So sa notation, kapag non-mutually exclusive events, ang P, A, union B, pag sinabing A and union B, we are combining the outcomes of event A and event B. Okay? So, combining the outcomes of A and B. For events that can happen at the same time, you have this formula. You get the probability of A, you add the probability of B, and then subtract the probability where A and B intersect. This one is intersect. This one is union. Okay? So, ibig sabihin, kapag pinagsama natin yung outcomes ng A and B, i-add natin yung event A and event B, yung probabilities nila, and then subtract natin kung saan nagkaroon ng common. Ito yung ibig sabihin ng intersect. Okay? Common. Example, if we have event A halimbawa na 1, 3, 5, okay? And then event B, we have 1, 6, and 8, meaning ang A intersection of B natin is actually the number 1. If we have A union B, actually hindi U yun, no? Ganun siya. Oh. Pag kinombine natin, sabi natin combine, ang mga numbers natin sa loob ng ating sample space will be as such. Gets? Okay? So, let's have the second formula which is for mutually exclusive events. So, kapag meron tayong dalawang events, we need first to identify if they are non-mutual or mutually exclusive events. So, if they are mutually exclusive events, they cannot happen at the same time. We simply add the probabilities of A and B. Period. Okay? The third one, if we have two events that are complementary, meaning they are, the one can happen at this percentage or probability and the other one can happen at another percentage, which is PA plus PA prime, which is not A, ibig sabihin, is equal to 1. Halimbawa, what is the probability that you are the probability that you are in school plus the probability that you are not in school is equal to 1. Halimbawa, if the probability that you are in school is 80%, okay, meaning the probability that you are not in school is 20%. Kasi ang total niyan will always be 100. Remember, fraction ito, kaya 1 ito, no? But if in percentage, you're going to represent those probabilities, the answer will always equal to 100%. Let's have example number 1 para maintindihan ninyo yung two events. Okay? So, a fair dice roll. Determine the probability of getting an odd or an even number. Ang isang tip that I can give you if to know if this problem is an example of an addition rule of probability is the word or. The second one, look at this. You also have the word or. Kapag merong or yan, it means that the problem is a type of an additional rule. You are going to apply additional rule. Okay? Now, if we go back to our sample space ng fair die, so isang die lang, the outcomes of the die when you roll it will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay? Now, we have two events. This is event A and event B. So, if you are going to write it for letter A, okay, the event A or N of A natin for odd number, okay, will consist from the sample space of 1, 3, and 5. Meanwhile, for even number, we denoted as B, we have 4, 5, and 6. So, in your solution, please write on your solution kung nasaan ang event A at nasaan ang event B. Okay? Or you can write that let A be the event of odd numbers. And then B as event of even numbers. Mas systematic siya kung may ganito kayo. But then again, if you are in a time constraint quiz, it's just okay for me if you write this one. Okay? You just have a small letter written on top of the on your solution. Okay? Now, sabi natin, before we use the formula, we have three formula for our addition rule. Ang unang tanong natin is, ang mga events ba na ito ay non-mutual exclusive events or mutually exclusive events? You ask, can this happen at the same time? Can you have a die with a face that is both odd or even? Of course, the answer no. The answer is no. So meaning, okay, this is a mutually exclusive events. They cannot happen at the same time. So having known this, okay, so for letter A, since we have a mutually exclusive event, the formula that we are going to use is P A union of B, P of A plus P of B. That's it. Yun lang. Diba? Kasi hindi sila pwedeng magkaroon ng number na sabay nalilitaw. Walang intersection. Okay? Go back to the previous slide para dun sa formula. So, you will understand bakit ito yung ginamit natin. Okay, now, ang sabi natin, sulat natin ulit yung ating mga outcomes. Okay? Ang N of S natin is, ang laman ay 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So, meaning this is 6 outcomes. Okay? For event A, ang N of A natin, for odd numbers, ang laman from the sample space ay 1, 3, and 5. And then, ang event B natin, so ito ay 3. Ang laman ay even numbers naman, so 2, 4, and 6. This is 3 also. So, meaning, okay, tuloy natin dito. If we are going to expand the formula here, we have n of A over n of S plus n of B over n of S. Substituting the given, we have 3 over 6 plus 3 over 6. Okay, so that would be equal to 1. So, ibig sabihin, ang probability of A union of B here will be equal to 1. Meaning, if you roll a die, you either get an odd or an even number. That is a sure event. Diba? Kapag ni-roll mo yung die, kung lumitaw man ay 1, posibleng odd siya. Pag yun ay lumitaw ay 2 or kung ano mang even number yon, no? Kahit saan ka, kahit anong roll mo doon, you will have a 100% that you will get an odd or an even number at any time that you roll it. Okay? Now, the next letter, which is letter B, an even or a perfect square. Okay? O, write natin ulit yung ating sample space. Natatanggal kasi siya kapag nagre-record ako, no? So, please bear with my PowerPoint kung paulit-ulit siyang ginagawa. Okay? So, ginamit na natin yung A and B kanina. Let's decide that this is event B and event D. So, for event A, this is event B pala, B. Kasi ito ay A, ito ay B. Since even din yon, so event B na lang, no? Kung ulitin natin yung sinulat ko kanina, for even numbers from the sample space, this is 4, 2, 4, and 6. Okay? And then for event, let's change this as event C. So, kung event C siya, lahat ng perfect square ay 1 and 4. Okay? So, 1 and 4. Mga perfect square. Alright. Now, the question is again, are these non-mutually exclusive events or mutually exclusive? Can a number, when you throw a die, can a number appear na even number na siya, okay, even number at the same time, yun lang naman ang tanong eh, a perfect square. Is there a number in the die that is an even number at the same time a perfect square? The answer is yes. Di ba? Ngayon, since letter B is an example of a non-mutually exclusive events, they can happen at the same time, ang formula na gagamitin natin is yung specified doon sa formula na nauna. The event of A plus the event of B minus the probability of event A intersection of B. Okay? Now, expanding this, we have n of A over n of S plus n of B over n of S. Okay? Minus n of the intersection of A and B over n of S. Okay? So, ang ating, ito yung natin, general formula. But, if you follow yung notation natin dito, this will change as our B intersection of C kasi we follow this. Okay? So, this one will be, sa notation lang naman yan, no? But this will help you when you write down yung several questions na problem na to follow yung notations natin. So, this one is simply n of B and n of C, and this one is B and C. Hindi nagbabago yung sa ilalim kasi n of S lagi yan. Okay? So, ang n of B natin ay 3, ito ay 2. Ngayon, doon sa ating n of B intersection of C, titignan natin yung mga nandito. Ano ang even number na perfect square? No? Ano ang even number na perfect square? Actually, ito lang yung parehas nila eh. Ibig sabihin, 4. 1 lang ang answer natin. So, following that, we have 3 over 6. This is 6. Okay? Plus 2 over 6 minus 1 over 6. Okay? So, whatever is the answer here, please process it in your calculator. Another example. Let's have another example. So, ang ating tip to know if you are going to apply additional rule of probability is the word or. Ayan. Okay? So, a card is drawn from an ordinary deck of cards. Find the probability of getting an ace or a king or a face card, a black card, or a queen. Okay? Now, ang ating ang ating N of S, tama? Sa ating deck of cards, since we are only drawing one card, we have 52 combination 1. Okay? Ngayon, ito ang ating A and B. Okay? Ito ay ang event B and C. Event B din kasi king yun, no? Same. And then D and E. Yan, para malinaw yung notation. Now, remember, sa isang deck ng cards, meron tayong 4 na ace at meron tayong 4 na king. Now, is there a card? Ang tanong, is there a card that is an ace at the same time a king? So, wala. So, this one is a mutually exclusive event. Now, remember, P of A union of B is simply P of A plus P of B or, ano ang litaw natin? 4 combination of 1 kasi isang card lang ang kinukuha natin, no? Over 52 combination 1 plus 4 combination 1 again for the king and then 52 combination 1. This will be your answer. Okay? The next one, a king or a face card. Is there a card that is a king at the same time a face card? Yes. So this one is a non-mutually exclusive event. In fact, a king is considered to be a face card. Diba? So using the formula PA union of B, P of A plus P of B minus P of A intersection B. No? Okay, so ito ay P of A, 4 ang king sa deck. Sa face card natin, ilan? Meron tayong king, queen, and jack. And meron tayong isang set ng ganyan sa lahat ng suits. No? 4 suits yon. So, 3 times 4, ibig sabihin ay 12 face cards tayo. Kuha? Ayan. Kasi ano to pero meron kang king, queen, and jack sa hearts. Another set sa spades, etc., etc. Now, dito tayo sa notation pala natin, ano? Kasi susundan natin yung notation. Magiging PB union of C. Okay? Kasi yung general formula yung sinusulat ko, no? So, this one will follow kung ano yung nilagay mong notation doon. Okay, so ang P of B natin, 4 combination of 1 kasi there's only one card that we are drawing. So, sa baba, yan ulit, plus 12 combination 1 over 52 combination 1, minus how many kings na face card? How many kings at the same time may face card? So, meron kang king ng hearts, no? Sorry, meron kang king of hearts, meron kang king of diamonds, meron kang king of spades, and king of clubs. So, ibig sabihin, 4. So, this one is 4 combination 1 over, again, 52 combination 1. So, mapapansin nyo, no, magkakaroon ng cancellation doon. So, ito na lang yung matitira. You have to process it para lowest term. Okay? Remember, it should be lowest term ang answer. Okay, moving on for letter C. Na? So, this one is there a card that is a black card at the same time a queen? Yes, okay? So, this one is a non-mutually exclusive event. Kasi merong queen of spades at saka queen of clubs. Dalawang black card yun. No? So, possible siya. Okay? So, ulit, P, this time, D, union of E. Okay? And then, P, D plus P of E minus P of the intersection of E. Okay, so ang black cards natin ay ilan? We have 13 spades and 13 clubs. So, 26 yung pinag-uusapan dyan. Yung queen naman ay 4. So, meaning we have 26. Tuloy ko na, combination 1 over 52 combination 1 plus 4 combination 1 over 52 combination 1 minus how many queens na black tayo? So, yun nga, no? Spades and black. Queen of spades and queen of clubs. So, 2 combination 1 over 52 combination 1. That will be your answer.